for all eternity, the closest friend to me, yes. But when the road of life seemed rough and rocky, you were there for me. You keep me strong with your blessings and true with your mercy. You'll always be my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. Forever you will be, and I will walk by your side. My Father, my friend, my God, my guide. My love for you I'll never hide, no. You are my God, the only one I ever had. You proved your love for me, yes. You are my guide, your footsteps I will walk with pride. My praises I'll give to thee. You're my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. Forever you will be, and I will sing by your side. My Father, my friend, my God, my guide. My love for you I'll never hide. Oh my God. Oh my God, my God. When the road of life seemed rough and rocky, you were there for me. You keep me strong with your blessings and true with your mercy. You'll always be my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. Forever you will be, and I will walk by your side. My Father, my friend, my God, my guide. My love for you I'll never hide. You're my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. Forever you will be, and I will walk by your side. My Father, my friend, my God, my guide. My love for you I'll never hide. You're my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. Forever you will be, and I will sing by your side. You're my Father, my friend, my God, my guide. My love for you I'll never hide. You're my God, forever you will be.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Dad. I am turning you right over to our host for this evening, none other than your very own Suzanne, for this we could call our Suzanne show, but a conversation with dads. Please make welcome Suzanne Blake.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to you all joining us on YouTube. It's another activity in our Father's Week 2020. We decided to do things a little different, and give the fathers, a little more than a day. So welcome to our Father's Week 2020 talk show for tonight, and it's simply dubbed Conversation with Dad. And joining us today, we have, unfortunately, Gavin Duffus, his kids could not make it, but we have Gavin Duffus, one of our deacons. We also have joining us our Men's Fellowship President, Brother Jermaine, along with his son Kemar, the Jermaine and Kemar Lewis. We also have our current couples ministry leader, Brother Hopeton Thomas, and his two kids, John Michael and Daniel. So we have the Thomas clan, so that's John Michael and Daniel joining Brother Hopeton Thomas. And we also have one of our deacons, our long-standing deacons, We call him Deacon Joe. So I just say Joe and Jody Williams. They're also joining us. So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome, ladies. And we are so happy that you took the time out, to join us, to be a part of this conversation with Dad. And to those of you listening in, welcome and thank you for joining us. And I just pause, out of respect and just honor to those of you who may be watching who would have lost your father. We just remember you at this time because we know that for some of you, you had very good relationships. And so even watching this program now may bring back, some memories. But I hope that you can just think back to some of the stimulating conversations that you would have had with your dad and, just remember him in a happy way. So time is already fast spent and we are grateful to God for allowing us to be here. So we're just going to move on right in. And I'm going to start with our Deacon Joe. I know you are a strong man, coming from the military background, and them say man afraid and man tough. But can you say or just tell us what has been one of your scariest moments as a person? Sorry, as a parent.
Scariest moment was last year when Jordan crashed car. I got that call late in the night. It was a rough one. Yes, I had to rush to Apogee Road and the van doing some serious driving there. I'm actually going to pick her up off the ground.
Brother Joel, let me ask you just to project a little because I'm hardly hearing you. Joe, the wife is bow. He seems to be sweating a little. So you said your most scariest moment was last year when Jody crashed. Continue.
Yes, and just the type of driving to reach the Apogee Road and then to pick her up off the sidewalk, put her in the van, head to Central Hospital.
Okay, that was your scariest moment. And being the parent you are, I know it would have been scary for you, Brother Jermaine, you are father of all boys, but what is it that you would say would have been the best fatherhood lesson that you would have learned?
Repeat the question, sister.
What can you say would have been the best lesson you would have learned during your course of fatherhood?
Well, the best thing I would have learned is to have patience because dealing with boys, it's a very challenging thing. So to have patience and to bear out with them.
Okay, so it's a patience and bearing out.
Yes.
Explain a little what you mean by bearing out, though.
Well, with
That's
the boys.
That's all people talk,
Yeah, but all right. Well, you have the boys, and they give a fair amount of trouble. So when you talk to them, sometimes they don't react immediately when you talk. So you just wait. You just give them time to learn, to listen, and to let it soak in, and they understand at a later time. You understand?
Okay. Come on, you were saying something?
Yes, I said not me.
Oh, not you. Oh, okay, you're the mother child. Okay. All right, Brother T, over to you.
Yes.
Based on your, for want of a better word, I'm going to use demeanor, for want of a better word. You seem to be that strict kind of person, but let me ask you, you have a son and a daughter. How is it that you discipline your children? Because we see the generation today, a lot of them lack discipline. I see John Michael looking to the side and Daniel looking at you, but how is it that you discipline your children?
How do I discipline my children? If my children were to say that I'm a strict father, I wouldn't feel bad because I've come to recognize myself as something of a disciplinarian. I love discipline. And I thought about that question in particular, how do I discipline my children?
Okay.
And this is my answer. If my son does something that could land him in jail, I'm going to punish him as if he went to jail.
Okay.
Because I do not want him to make that mistake at an older age. In recent times, I think they will agree that I've calmed down a bit, and I'm doing a little bit more talking, and they are meeting the belt a lot less frequent.
Okay. So in essence, you're saying then that you're teaching them from early that look here, the punishment is going to fit the crime. So the greater the crime, so in essence, this is one of your life lessons then from an early age that should you find yourself on this end of the law, then this is possible, the punishment. That's what you're saying, Brother T.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best gifts I can give them. You know,
Okay.
stay law abiding, stay on the side.
Okay, I like that. Stay law abiding. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so these
And,
fans go first. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brother T.
no, man, I was just saying that you know they might not understand it now, but I think later on they'll realize that the measurement or the punishment goes along with the crime.
Okay. All right. So, Brother D, unfortunately, you're on your own, and
Yes,
you
sir.
basically have I would say grown kids. But what is it that you would have said would have been your most fulfilling fatherhood experience?
Yes, my most fulfilling father experience. I always say that having my children.
Okay.
I like to grow with my children, and from basic school to primary school to high school. So I follow the children step by step. I always said a milestone when the basic school is finished, when primary school is finished, another milestone, and when high school is finished, another milestone, and they move on. So my most fulfilling one when my children have accomplished their goal at the high school level and ready to move on to university.
Okay, so that would have been a very proud moment for you. Okay, and understandably so, because we see that a lot of students really, as my mother would say, going like Johnny Cake and come out like dumpling, after high school, there's really nothing to show. So they can't move on to that next stage in life.
Right.
Okay, so we have heard, some things from the parents. Let me know, talk to the kids for a while. So John Michael, tell me 3 adjectives that you would use to describe your dad.
Strong. Just.
All right, while John Michael thinks, let me ask Daniel to think about her question. And that is to tell us about a memorable moment that you had with your dad. So you're going to think about a memorable moment that you had with your dad. John Michael, you ready to give us that 3 adjectives that you would use to describe your dad?
Ma'am, 3 adjectives to describe my father. Strong, just.
Strong, okay. Strong,
Just. And true.
And true. All right, which you'd want to elaborate? Well, I would say just because he already stated that the punishment would fit the crime. So maybe that is his form of justice. But you want to expand on strong and trust, because trust is a big word, to hear for a teenage young man speaking of his father. So you want to elaborate, just like maybe 30 seconds for us, and what that trust and strong mean, apart from I know he has a strong voice.
If he says he's going to do something, if he does not do it, there is an extremely good reason why he did not do it.
Okay.
Okay, put trust and faith in him because he's going to go through what he said.
So in essence, you're saying that your father has proven to be a man of his word then? Okay, so like if you promise you a beating, you know say you're gonna get the beating. All right, Daniel, tell us of a memorable moment that you had with your dad. You want a little more time to think about it?
And his friends did.
Repeat?
It was
All right, I'll give you a little more time to think about it. I'm going to ask Jody a question and then I'll come back to you. That's fine? That's okay with you, Daniel?
Yeah.
All right, no problem. So Jody, young adults and all, you know, and I know you always like to shirk when you're ready, but what is it that you'd say would have been the most embarrassing thing that your father ever did to you? Maybe, I don't know if you have a list to choose from, but
I don't say it's a list. Wow, it's interesting that you said as a young adult because what I remember, yeah. So when I believe I was 21 at the time, and
Jody, you passed 21 long time?
I am 29. I'll be 30 in November.
No, stop. I need to see the birth certificate.
Yes. So well, I think I was 21 at the time, and it was watch night. Well, it's not watch night because January 1 start now, right? So it's a new year. Nobody likes to go home when church done. You chill with your friends.
At 21.
21. And another friend that they are good with, right? Decide, okay, after watch night, we're going to chill, right? And they know this, you know, they know this. And I went to chilling, and in the middle of the chilling, my phone keep ringing, and I answer, and they asking where I am. They already know where I am.
Oh, I don't.
And I'm answering. And then, honestly, this is the bad part. But like about 3 of the calls, I stop answer because I'm like, you know where I am, stop calling me. So when I finally said, all right, this is too many calls, I can go home. When I reached home, Daddy changed the lock. So I couldn't use my key to go in. At after 3 in the morning or so, I was on the roadside because Daddy shit.
Oh my God.
I remember it happened to Daddy changed the lock.
Oh my
Thank God they drove. They had to wait on some mother threw the key over for the new lock, and that's what I had to use to go inside. Thanks, Daddy.
So, Jody, I have to I can't just drop this one yet because I remember the other day when your father was the preacher. He had some things there that, you know, he said that we should have, even like a pin. So you're telling me then that your father had a lock put down somewhere and this was the emergency to use the lock?
And I
So, Brother Joe, but your uncle one daughter, you lock her out at 3 o'clock, you change the lock. Were you not concerned of the elements that she would have been subjected to? You could have let her in and then you punish her. What do you have to say for yourself about that?
That's disciplinarian.
I really have to elaborate on that one. And you can't plead the fifth. Jody, I'm not hearing him at all. But he's so overcome with laughter. Yes, Brother Joe, what you have to say in your defense? All right, he's not contesting it. Silent, he's not contesting it, Jody. So we move on. So Daniel, are you ready for me to tell us about your most memorable moment with your dad?
Yes.
Go ahead.
was a road and we went to Wallace Falls and I ran off so far into the water. I almost drowned. And Daddy ran in like Superman and got me
Oh
up.
my God! And souped you up. Whoa, that's good. At least you have that memory of your father being your superhero and your Superman to rescue you. Very good, Brother T. Kamar.
Hello.
Hi. Just tell us, how is it that, in what ways would you say that you and your father are similar?
All right, could you please repeat that?
In what ways
Yeah.
are you and your father similar? Maybe similar traits. What similar traits you have? What?
Well, we are both sarcastic person.
Both sarcastic. Okay.
Yes, and we're both calm persons as well.
Oh, you're both calm. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And those are two of the good things that you decided to take from your father. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. That's good. All right. So my next question is gonna be to Brother Duffus and Brother T, because you both have sons and daughters. So how is it that you would say that boys it's different to raise boys than girls? So what's the difference you would see in your parenting style with your daughters as opposed to with your son? This is for Brother Duffus and Brother Thomas.
Well, for me, I have a daughter who, wow, I must say, to God be the glory, because I don't have a problem with her. So even to think of the difference with the boy and the girl, that girl did not give me the talking, did not cause me any problem or anything, and she just grew nice. The boy is so different now, even though he is very manable, but at times can be very stubborn, especially when they reach the teenager and they begin to show up the chest and thing. Sometimes they are so different. And as I listen, Brother Nyron said earlier, sometimes when you speak to them, they take such long time to really move. And sometimes really, I don't have the patience with them. But my girl is so different. Was much easier to grow than my son.
Okay, so you're saying that it was easier to grow your daughter than your son.
Yes.
Okay, and Brother T, what's your take?
I believe when you talk about growing the genders, you have to be blessed to have different perspectives. Growing girls, they take advice quicker, easier. Most of the time they put up a lot less resistance, and they tend to have a more trust in their father. Because I really believe that the father is like the first man, male representation in their life. And so they kind of draw to their father. And the father gets an opportunity to groom and to grow because they are so willing. Growing a boy is different. It's your child you're growing, but he's different because he's a man. He's a little man, and he's coming up to be the leader in his own house, to be the provider in his own house. And so I find I have to be careful. And if there's any mistake that I think I might make, it's in damaging that manly part of the boy. Because you have to be very careful how you dumb them down, how you drive them, because if you do too much, you might damage that fire within the man. And yes, they give a little bit more talking. They take a little more effort. And so they can cause you to lose your patience if you lose sight of the vision. I want to thank God that, you know, just the other day, not too long ago, I really got a little hold of the vision that my son can become, and the role that I am to play in growing him. It is really two different kettle of fish, growing boys and growing girls. And you have to be very mindful and very deliberate. And I want to share with fathers who might be watching who are growing boys. One of the great Greek philosophers said, of all the things, of all the animals, the boy is the most difficult to tame. And it just shows the amount of care that you have to take to grow a good man as parents. Not just as fathers, but as I plug for parents at this stage. Because boy, they can be a handful when they're ready.
Okay, thank you. All right, as I said, we have our person viewing on YouTube. Sandy, are there any questions coming in for us on YouTube from our YouTube viewers that you want to share with us? And is it addressed to any particular person on the panel?
I wanna tell you that those who are watching on YouTube are, one, learning things they didn't know about our fathers and their families. Two, they are quite entertained. And I got a lot of feedback when Jody was sharing that story about the lock. People were amazed that there was a spare lock in the house, so fast, so ready to be changed. So Deacon Williams, the people love that lock story. Somebody says, Brother Joe, you're bad man. And then there are a lot of people who are agreeing that the boys are harder to raise than the girls. But I do have one question so far, and it was directed at Deacon Williams. The question is, how does it feel to be a father to an only child? And how will you manage when she gets married? Well, how will you feel rather when she gets married and leave home?
The first part again.
How does it feel to be a father of an only child?
Well, I'm happy with it. Feel good. And
Remind me of the second part of the question, Sandy.
Thought as to the numbers and all that. I was happy with the one. And she was born and declared her and she come out to be a very wise girl. Second part.
Yes, how will you feel when she gets married and leave the home?
I believe that would be a good thing, but I know it should be okay. And with the plans and all that, that's in store, I know it should have to be a part.
I'm not hearing Joseph clearly. Repeat what you just said, Brother Joe.
That there are a lot of plans that I have, and I know she'll be a part of it, so she wouldn't be fully gone.
Okay. Any other questions, Sandy?
Well, it seems as if Brother Joe is saying half of Jody will leave the nest, but the other half.
And the other half, yeah. I'm wondering if it's the left side or the right side would leave, or the head or the bottom half. Okay, but thanks, Sandy. So they can
just two things. Two things, Suzanne. One, just please ask our panelists to speak louder and more clear when they're answering the questions. And just by a show of hand, well, you can just point on your parent if that fits them, or the parent can point on You, who gets up first in the morning? No child gets up first in the morning. Over to you, Suzanne.
Okay. All right. That's, keeping in vein with that emptiness question, because I did have that, and that I'm gonna direct now to Brother Duffus. As you rightfully said, Latoya is no longer at home, and I'm sure Gavin will look to leave. So how are you looking forward to that emptiness period in your life? Joe already said that
Yes,
it's half of Jody that will be leaving. You have 2 kids, half have gone already. So are you looking forward to that emptiness period?
yes, I'm looking forward to it. But while I'm looking, I thought about it from time to time, which I said it loud and clear. I would like a little one with me to be a therapy, because knowing grandchildren, they keep you moving. And getting old now, I would really want a small one around me. Yeah, it can keep me moving.
Hold on there,
Okay.
Brother Duffus. So you're saying no, that you want them to have the child and can the child come give you?
Yeah, tell you the truth. You see, I'm not really encouraging that, but knowing that it is imminent that, yes, Latoya left already, and I know my son just want to reach a place to move, right? Left
Yes.
alone with left alone with wifey, then trust me, getting old, you need a little one, to keep you moving. And I always say that. So maybe by then a little one might come in play, then I will gladly be a part of that life.
Well, Brother Duffus, boy, you are so different. So you're saying, okay, so let me just get clarity. Is it that you're saying that you want the little one wholly and solely? Because I mean, there are other persons I know who are saying they can't wait to be empty nesters. Even listening to Steve Harvey from time to time, he will tell you that he loves them grandbabies, but them grandbabies gotta go home. So you're saying that what you want the grandbabies to be there permanently, or come and spend every holiday, or what are you saying? Because you keep saying you want a little one to keep
Well,
you
I
busy.
need little
So
more than
that's
holidays.
it you'll find to do.
I need little more than holiday, because holidays can be maybe 2 months, but to be around not having a child to talk to. I just love it. I love children, and I think a little one will be good, knowing that those of your own moving out, yeah, you like someone. It's a different thing. My wife, she
Yeah,
said
I was
different
going
thing.
to say to you that we'll have to have a part 2 and hear what Sister Duffus has to say about this. I was just about to say that for you, we'll have to have a part 2 to hear what Sister Duffus has to say.
Definitely.
Okay. All right, turning the spotlight back to the kids. And this is for all the kids here. So you can, whoever wants to answer first, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot if you want some time to think of it. What would you want your dad to do differently? Is there anything that you'd want for your father to do differently? Any one of the kids can start. Jody, Kemar, Daniel, John Michael, any one of you can start.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay, Kemar, no problem.
All right. So what I would like my father to do most, right, is to spend more time with us in regards to
Okay.
going out more, right? Because my father is not really an 8 to 5 person, right? So he's basically an entrepreneur, right?
Right, so in dictating all the time.
Yes, he dictates his own time, but
Okay.
sometimes the work just overcomes, right? So he hardly had time to spend with us,
Okay.
right? And I know that when he reach home, most times he will be tired because sometimes, well, most time, not some, he will come in, right? Say good night, and then went have a shower and then went to bed
Okay.
or go to bed.
All right. Any other?
Yeah, think of anything right now.
Okay, John, I can't think of anything. Daniel, you have anything to say? Jody? No more changing of locks apart from that one? No? All right, back to the fathers, and we are working with a time stamp, but we are coming down nicely, and you guys are really speaking from the heart, and giving your honest feedback. But to any one of the fathers present, how has your life changed mostly since becoming a father? Any one of the fathers who may want to chip in. How is it that you'd say, what would you say would have been um, that significant change that would have taken place in your life since you became a father?
May I go?
Yeah, man, anybody want to take?
All right. To me, since becoming a father, I know my life changed a lot because the free times I had before could stay late at work, could go different places and so forth. Become a father, I realized that the free time was up. I have to make sure that I reach home on time. Being at work, I'm thinking about the child or the children. So I must get home at X time. I must get certain things to take home for them and all that. So I couldn't have that time with friends anymore or, or so forth. So I would now be thinking and concentrating on the child or children at home. So it changed my life a lot, even from friends, because I couldn't be that free person anymore to do whatever I want to do because responsibility chipped in and I have to take on my responsibilities.
Okay. Any other father want to chip in?
Well, suppose I'll comment. Um, I remember something happened a couple of years ago. A friend I went to high school with saw me and he said to me, "My youth, are you a youth that? And are your wife that?" I said, "Yeah, go on, man. Things are going for you." And you ask how as father would change your life. I realized that when you become a father, you are no longer a free agent.
Okay.
Even the world around you looks at you differently and expects more of you. My children changed my life because they forced me to be calmer. Gone are the days of being a hothead. And quite frankly, I'll say to a lot of persons that a number of persons who disturbed my peace with their continued safety to the presence of my children.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear, sir.
Because when I take fatherhood very seriously. And if you ask me right now, I can tell you when my youngest child sitting beside me here is going to graduate from university. And what age I will be and all of that. Because I keep making those kinds of plans. And there's one prayer that I pray: Lord, help me to be around for her to finish university. Help me to be around to show her how to live life. And that is what it brings. It brings a responsible view and very responsible actions and planning. It changes your life. It changes your life dramatically as you look forward to, as you plan for, as you assist, you know, and as you let go certain things.
Okay.
Just so that you can be there for them. And like I said before, you know, sometimes some people really step across the line, and I just look at them and smile, you know,
Yeah.
because me know and God know that I will be there for my children.
Okay. Any other father? All right. So, go ahead.
Yes, similarly, just to flashback for me, maybe by that time also would imagine some of the first part.
Brother Joe, can you speak up a little louder for me?
Be at that place where workplace where you can guarantee when you're going to be home. And when you think you'll be free one weekend, you're just going straight. Plus, my life was dominated by track and field. Almost every Saturday, you would go to with a Kurt Vine. You go all over the place to run. And especially after Julian was born, everything just cut. Just to spend more time at home, you know, to make sure all is well. So for me, everything, it just radically changed. No more track meets, just everything cut. And that is happening to this moment, even at this big age. Um, you know. So just that more time with the family, that was the priority.
Can I say something, Auntie Susan?
Sure, go ahead, Jody.
As Daddy mentioned, track meets, that is something, well, clearly he doesn't do it as much as he used to before I was born, I'm guessing. But as he said at the ending, that spending time with family more. So even though he didn't get to do it as much, I can remember about maybe 3 or so that I went with him in the country. So I think it was Ovaltine track meet some years ago, I think I was in primary school or so. So I used to go those different things with Daddy. I even remember sometimes, I was saying to him earlier that we used to go to Newcastle, early morning Newcastle, where you're running through fog straight up to the top. And those were some good times. I think I was in primary school at that time to running those times with Daddy. So yeah, even though he didn't get to do it, he still incorporated the family time. So Mommy and I would go to him morning time, family time at Newcastle and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay. So all of those made the Jody that we know today, that athletic part of you in the former years. Okay, all right. So you know, it is also said, it is always said that the father, you know, is the one who should lead your family. And so, you know, even as you be protector and provider for your family on the human level, I want to find out from you, because the common thread that we have is that we are all a part of the same local church. That's the common thread that binds us together. So, you know, fathers, I want to tell you, well, the question said, what does spiritual leadership look like in your home? But you know, based on the type of men you are and your activity level in church, I mean, I would hasten to think that you are actually that spiritual leader in your house. But what does it really mean to you to be the spiritual leader in your house, to take that spiritual leadership role? You know, how is it that you see it, and what does that really mean? Tell us what that means. All fathers, anyone can start.
Well, for me, so being a spiritual leader in the home is how I read the Bible. I apply it to my life, and I know that I have to lead from the front.
Okay.
Yeah, for my family. So we have to get up in the morning. We have to have our devotion, and we have to do the things of God, because it is the only way. It is the only way. As Joshua said, as for me and my house, I will praise the Lord at all times. So men were designed to lead, and we can't fall short. We just can't fall short. So we just have to man up and stand up in our home.
I can jump in. Anybody else?
For me, I did not start it out that way. Yes, a Christian, but Sister Annette was the one who do the early waking. I'm praying. I'm praying loud. I just didn't do all of that until many years after. With knowledge and growth, you just change and to play that leading role. And I think right now, I think it is at the height where I think I'm really playing that role, especially with the times that, just observing the times and having knowledge of how the enemy is working against families. I have to really step up as the leader said a while ago, and just man up and just play that role that God wants us to play.
Okay, thank you, Brother Joe. Any other father?
Spiritual leadership in the home. I'm very aware that it is a role for fathers to play. And again, I thought about a question like this, and if I'm going to be honest with myself and say that as much as I am doing, I do want to do more. Spiritual leadership in the home for me falls in two phases. One, it's in how you conduct yourself in your relationship with God. How you, as Brother Jeremy indicated earlier, how you interact with the Word on a personal level, and how you converse with God in your personal space. And then you have to be very aware also of the need to train up the child in the way they should go. I must admit that I'm very blessed in having the opportunity to lift my children from their baptism. But as to being that leader in the house, I want to acknowledge something that Brother Joe said, and it's the role that my wife plays. Because yes, I have an overarching picture of where we need to go. But a lot of times, my wife will lead the instructions. If I say, okay, and my wife being a very strong Christian as well, we know that we children need to read the Bible and they need to pray. And so we both share together in moving forward. But as a man, as the person that God has put in charge, you have to be one step ahead. And Brother Joe indicated something about understanding what the devil will do. And I share something with our audience. One day I was at work in Halfway Tree, and my son came down from JC, and I said to him, son, go get your sister at school. And while he went to get her, the Holy Spirit, and I fully credit the Holy Spirit for this, kept saying to me, get up and go meet them. Get up and go meet them. And about the third or fourth time when the Spirit said it to me, I got up and as I reached on the steps of the head office at Apple Tree, I stopped and was looking across the road. And like the Lord would just have me stand up right there to look. And as I observed, I saw my son coming with my daughter to the traffic light to cross Constant Spring Road to come over to Jane Bank. And he was watching the counter. And the counter was going down, but he intended to come across and would have been caught in the middle,
okay,
of the traffic.
Okay.
And I said, I just said one word, no. And immediately he stopped and he held on to his sister and I said, stay right there. For me, that was the Lord countering the devil's plan to put them in a situation where I couldn't reach to them and they couldn't reach to me. And so you have to be in a position as a leader in your family to hear the voice of God and to get going to defend them. So there is that kind of leadership, and there is the part where you train them in the home. And I thank God for my wife. She helps out a lot, because if you ask the children, they'll think that I pray too long. And so sometimes I start praying and they drop asleep. But she helped them we get along. And so yes, I do spiritual leadership, but I'm thankful for the support of my wife in this role.
All right, Brother Duffus, you have anything to say?
Not much, but listening to everybody. As spiritual leader in the home, we were called to lead, and most of all, we have to stand by both wife and children. But you know what I find interesting is that the word of God is there. We read it over and over. But if we are not careful, even in the home, we don't apply. We don't apply it at time. So to me, as spiritual leader, what I try my best to do is to live by examples. So the things that need to be done, the words from the Bible that I should follow, then I try my best in my home to be an example that the rest can really see and follow.
Yeah. But you know, as Brother Thomas was talking, I wrote down, because I've been jotting down a lot of things, but I really need to speak on this one. No, because he said that when he stood at the crosswalk and just his voice, you know, saying no, I guess out of all the hustle and the bustle and the noise, because anybody knows that intersection, knows it's noisy and it's busy. You know, and it comes back to the song that we sing that says his voice makes the difference when he speaks. And you know, it is amazing that, you know, even as he listened to the voice of the Lord and got up, that his son was able to hear his voice in the midst of the hustle and the bustle in Halfway Tree and stop. And I think that is so amazing, you know, that how kids can hear, you know, because I remember growing up with my mother. I know this is about fathers, but it's just parenting on a whole. That, you know, you're somewhere and you're misbehaving, and she didn't even have to hit you, you know. She just turned and looked at you, and you know that you better get it right. And so in the hustle and the bus stop Halfway Tree, John Michael was able to hear his father's voice, and he stopped. We are coming down and we are wrapping up shortly. Sandy, any further developments on our YouTube page? Come on, YouTube viewers.
Listen, Suzanne, the YouTube channel is just as active as the discussion that you're having, and I'm looking forward to next year when we have our live studio audience. But I do have about 5 or 6 questions coming in from YouTube, just to say that, you know, people are enjoying the show. They're enjoying the show, they're learning a lot, and they do have a lot of questions. 2 questions were directed individually, so I'll start with those individual questions, and then I'll ask the others that anybody can just jump in and answer. So the first question is for Brother Lewis. The question is, how does it feel not having a daughter? He smiles.
Well, not having a daughter, it's a feeling what I just can't explain. Because what happened is that when my first two boys was born, uh, the third one, I was looking forward for a girl, and when we do the ultrasound, it shows nothing. So I had hope still say it would be a girl. So on birth is then I know the gender that it was a boy, it is a boy, and that feeling does I just can't explain because as every father said, a daughter stick closer to her father, and I was looking forward to having that girl, but it is God will, and I still happy and proud to be a father of 3 boys.
Thank you. Suzanne, if you'll allow me to just ask Kemar though,
Go
how
ahead.
does he feel? You know, would he have wanted a sister?
Sister, yeah, go ahead.
Well, actually, I would have liked to have a sister. When my mother went to have the second born, I hoped that I will get a sister, but when I reached home, I found out I got a brother instead. I was so upset and angry, right? And I said, no, go back. Please go back and collect my sister because I didn't wanted a brother, right? So the third time now, I was saying, Mommy, make sure this one is a girl, right? Because everyone is saying to her that make sure that you get a daughter this time. But then again, they're saying that she's someone that, you know, in Jamaican term, they call it a roughneck, right? So they say that she will get a boy again. But I was really hoping that I'll get a sister, right? So I can just have the feeling to have both a brother and a sister. Understand? So yes, that's basically it.
Thank you very much, Kemar. We just want to put a message out there in case your mom's watching. Go back and get his sister. All right.
Thank you.
The next question, Suzanne, came in for Jody, and the viewer is asking, you know, to describe this feeling, you know, about your father-daughter relationship, locks changed and all. You just forget that for a moment and just tell us, you know, what kind of feeling do you get when you think about the fact that, you know, you and your dad have a really good relationship, or do you?
Really good at him changing lock, or is that good? I joke. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We do have a good relationship. I remember when I was younger, primary school again. I think that was the age that mommy used to start telling me to wash plates and clean this. And I'm like, no. So when daddy working on the car outside, I'm outside. If daddy doing something in the yard outside, I'm outside. I always wanted to be, I don't know why. I guess maybe that was a tomboy thing, not doing the girly stuff inside, but I always with daddy, yes. Even when I was younger, I think the reason why I wanted to be a medtech, I don't know how it came. Daddy's a medtech. That is a medtech, and even I guess children would, I guess, rather being around other children. But for me, instead of going to school with mommy where I could play with other children, I actually rather going to the lab, watching daddy do something and then fall asleep sometime later and he make up a bed for me at the back of the lab. But I would always be at the lab. I have different pictures with that as well. I think we have a really good relationship. I think it's just one thing. I'm still maybe shy, and I guess maybe that's how because they, even though they're bold, they're still shy at the same time. So I think maybe that's something. It's hard to speak about like girly stuff or relationship stuff with the parents. It just feel weird. But outside of that, we have a good relationship. Yeah.
Suzanne, do I go ahead with the other question now?
Yeah, go again, because we're basically going to wrap up. So we can just take those and then we can.
Okay, so any
That's one
father
final
or
thing to the person.
our viewers want to know, for those who are parenting boys, how did you explain puberty to your boys? How did you have the birds and the bees talk? How did you approach that conversation? John Michael, you got out of the frame. Could you come back over just a little bit? Is he hiding? Well, let me narrow it down. It would be Jermaine, it would be Brother Hopeton, and your Brother Garvin Duffus who would be answering this question.
How do you explain puberty to your son? It's actually a lot easier than explaining puberty to your daughter, because your son has the same puberty challenges that you have or you've had, and that's one of the things I give God thanks for when it comes to being a father, is that I have the capacity to recall my experiences at their ages in most of the cases. And so even when they won't say what they are experiencing, or when they try to hide what they're doing, I can say, come. Let's talk about that. And so I remember one evening, or one very late night, or one very early morning, I had to have a discussion with John Michael. And so I suspect he thought I was going to mock him for what he was doing. But I thank God I used it as a training moment. I said, John, you were doing so and so, weren't you? And so come, we need to have a talk. And I explained to him the benefits of getting on in age, getting to the age of puberty, and the challenges that he could face, and what would be expected of him, and the dangers also of the new terrain. I hope I answered it so that people can understand. But it wasn't difficult. It wasn't difficult to have that talk, and I don't think it will be difficult to have further talks, my children, when it comes on to puberty.
Thank you. Anybody, any other father wants to answer that, or should we go to the next question?
All right, let's go to the next question, Sandy.
All right. This question says, do you give your children chores, and do you have separate chores for the boys and separate chores for the girls?
Yes. Yes, they get chores, and the chores for my son is different. And I don't know if it's the first he's going to hear me say this, but he has responsibility for the dogs, and we have a few goats, and he has responsibility for those as well. And Daniel's chores are mostly contained inside the house. My reason for giving John the care of the animals is so that he learns to care for things that depend on him. So the dog can't fetch his own water, so it will teach him to fetch for somebody who can't fetch for themselves. So and I suspect this talk is doing him a lot of good, because now he's understanding that it's not dislike him, why he has to get up in the morning and go and feed the goats and go and feed the dogs, but it is teaching him as a man how to take care of others. And I got this from my own father. And I grew up in an old time Jamaica, and you'd say my father wasn't educated, but he was very smart. And he would give me responsibility for the pigs, for the goats, and so on, to take care of them. And I suspect out of that I've learned to care for those who the Lord has blessed me with.
Okay.
One
All right,
final question.
Go ahead,
Susan.
Sandy.
Just one. This is the last question that came in from YouTube.
Okay.
And the viewer asked, how do you help your child or children in their Christian walk?
How you help your child in their Christian walk? As believer, as I said early on, you have to live by example, and as that person in the lead, then you have to read the word with the children. You have to pray with the children. You have to explain scriptures to the children, and so forth. If they are coming out of line, then you wouldn't be that harsh person correcting them, but you would correct them according to the word of God, correct them in love. And I'll say, if you lead by that example and you're doing the things which are right, I think eventually the children, they will patronize most of what you do. So that will be my part for my children.
Yes, so I agree with Brother Duffus, but so read the word with your children and to apply the word. That is a big step too, because not only reading the word, you have to show them how to apply it in their life, so they can go about living life for God.
Sandrina, I know I'm not the parent, but may I add something to that?
Go ahead, Jody.
All right, so I can say that is really the priest in the home. As Brother Duffus said, that you really have to lead by example. So my parents have definitely been examples of how you should be as a Christian. It's not just the speech or saying it, but actually living it. Another thing is that they have to really be living in the word, because like for me, I have a lot of questions. Whenever I get these questions, I ask Daddy. I throw them at him, and they may be some hard or some weird questions that he wouldn't expect me to ask. But in order to really live that Christian example life, you really have to know the word, so that you're explaining it and not just talking off your head, but actually speaking that which God is actually saying through the word, so that actually clearly and makes sense to the child. So yeah, parents listening on YouTube, you have to know the word, and not just say it, but live it.
If there's anything to add to that, is helping the children according to their age and their stage, because you will always be their father, and in cases their mother, and you have to appreciate the difference in helping a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old walk with Christ, a 14-year-old walk with Christ, as opposed to the help that you would have to give to a 20-year-old, because having gone ahead of them in the journey, you're always going to be called upon, I believe, to assist them in their Christian walk. So know the word and also be aware of the age and the stage and what you're trying to do at the various age and stage that the children are.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. So we're actually coming to an end in a few minutes, but just before I give my closing remarks, I want to ask every person here tonight, if this was your last night to say something for the kids, if you had this opportunity now to say something to your dad, what would that be? And for the parents, same thing. If it was your last night to say something to your child, what would that be? And for the children, this was the last night to say something to your father, what would that be? And that would be your final question for tonight. And we'll take it family, and I'll just take it alphabetical order the way we start. So we go with Brother Duffus, then Brother Lewis, Brother Thomas, and then the Williamson.
Yes, knowing
so you go ahead with your thing. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, knowing the dreams of my children and what they are heading for. We speak from time to time, and I know they have great desires. I would say to them, well, the sky's the limit, and don't let any failure stop the dream. Continue to dream and continue to go for what you believe in. That would be my last words and message that they can push on, not to give up.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, I would say, the last thing I would say is that I want my children to go and do their best at all time. I would like for them to achieve. I would like for them to, I would ask them to stay in Christ. And Christ will lift them up. And I encourage them and tell them that I love him. That will be my last word.
Emma, your last word to your father?
Well, for me, right, my last word to my dad, right, even though I don't say it much, right, I don't know if he saw I show it as well, but I actually love him, right? It's kind of weird for a guy as grown or as a man to say that, but I actually love my father, and I wish he would live to see me grow up as the man that he would want me to be. And that will be my last words.
Thomas? I'm not hearing Daniel, but
My dad would be, I thank you for all the advice you have given. And I'll try to follow them with all my heart. I love you, Daddy.
If I had last words, I think I'd only use two. Thank you. If I use those two, they can express a lot more than what they sound. Say, for example, you think of the different things that happened. Then you put thank you before them. How many things will that cover? My last words would be thank you.
Okay. And if this were the last opportunity I have to teach children, I would say to them, I'm very happy to be your father. You were never a surprise, or not ever an accident. All my children came by plan and design, and I thank God for them. I would leave a word of encouragement to say, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, in everything you do, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. You know, I would say to my son, you're going to be a great engineer. You're a great leader. I see it in you. And I would say to my children, my daughters, your talents are very obvious and you're going to excel. So you just go ahead and do and trust God and just let it happen. And you know, of course I'd have to tell them that wherever I am, I'll be watching you. And if you ever get out of line, you just need to look around. You see me looking at you with the eyes. It's steady, boy, steady. Steady, girl, steady. That's probably what I would say to them.
Okay. Speak up, Jody.
My last words. They would surround they would
I want to type them. Let's. Okay.
They
I
would,
asked if you want to type it. Let's stand and read them.
they would surround saying, I'm sorry. That I didn't make you as proud as you would want or I would want to be. I guess when you have a lot of hopes and dreams, and even he even said it earlier, Daddy said it earlier, that when I was born, he said, I'm going to do well or I'm going to be wise. And then when you feel like you disappoint those words, yeah, so those would be like, yeah, for everything that crashed and failed, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try still to be that great daughter.
That's it. All right, my last words, push to finish university. Watch the signs of the time, be prepared, and pay attention to your dreams. Not your plans, I mean nightly dreams. That's it.
Okay, okay. Thank you so very much, Father and Kid. This conversation with Dad really, and you guys know some mushy mushy, you know, I love guys. So, you know, I should have given you the disclaimer to, you know, be careful of what you say, because, you know, I can't be hosting and trying to mop up tears. But this has really, really been a good maybe 2 hours, hour and a half. But, you know, I was trying to write some of the things, you know, that the kids were saying and the dads were saying. But the good thing is that, you know, you can go to YouTube and watch. And I'm not going to go over the whole program, but there's some things I wrote down. You know, kids are asking for more time, you know, they want to go out more, you know, and, you know, kids are recognizing their fathers for being their superhero. Kids want their fathers to know that they love them, you know, and that they wish to be, as the man, so to speak, that they are. They also want to thank them for the advice that they got, and that they'll try to follow them and that they love them. Simply just say thank you, sorry, but they'll try, to come up to where you want them to be. The parents want to know, your kids to know, don't give up, do the best at all times, stay in Christ, which is very, very important. They want them to know that they're happy that they're their father, and they want to surprise, they weren't an accident, and that they must trust in the Lord with all their heart and lean not unto their own understanding. They want them to push to accomplish their dreams, and even as the fathers wish these things for their kids, and the kids wish these things for their fathers. The fathers also want to remind those of you who are listening in YouTube, that when you take on this role of fatherhood, you're no longer a free agent. You have kids, and they're asking you to lead from the front. Lead from the front. So while you interact with the word with them, and lead and let the word direct and guide you. Brother Thomas said that the chores that you give to your kids, they should be life lessons, because as a man, as a protector and a provider, it is your responsibility to take care of those who are depending on you. And so some of the things that you are going through and that they give you to do is, a part of that. And they are telling us that those of you who are growing boys, that you have to be deliberate. You have to be deliberate when you're growing your boys, because you really have to grow your boys different from the goal. And they're reminding you, and they're reminding the kids that the punishment that you get, it happens with the crime where you do. And they talk about being patient. And so there are so many things that we learned from our fathers tonight, and there's so many things that we have learned from their kids, and we really want to thank you, fathers, and your kids for joining us. We want to thank you for speaking from your heart and speaking honest, and letting us know that this father-child relationship can work, because ultimately you have to be imparting to your child, so you'll be leaving the world that much better than you saw it, because you would have left a child who would have been instilled with godly values, who would have been instilled to know what it is to be that Proverbs 31 woman, who knows what it is to be that man who is that provider, who is that protector of his family and his children. So thank you again for joining us. To those of you in YouTube land, thank you for staying with us. And we trust that you would have learned something, not only about our fathers and their kids, but also from our fathers and our kids, that you can use as some best practices, even in your relationships with your children. So thank you again. And we meet you tomorrow at 9 o'clock, when the dynamic duo of Joe and Jody, the athletic pair, will take us to, some exercises. So come tune in at 9 a.m. on our YouTube channel for Joe and Jody, Fitness Space. Join us on Sunday in the sanctuary and on Zoom and YouTube at 10 for our Father's Day service dubbed Imam Daliu. So thanks again for joining us, and may the peace of God be with you. Yes, Andy.
Before you sign off, just wanted to just put in there from those who are watching on YouTube, it has been well-rounded. They were laughing at the start, but there is not a dry eye left at any host who is watching tonight. And someone, shared, thanks fathers and children for sharing from your hearts. God bless every one of you. And people were commenting, this is so real. And I think, the audience really appreciated that they got a sense of realness from the conversations. And just to let your viewers know, we will be on Zoom and YouTube tomorrow, just in case anybody wants to be featured. Opportunity, just like Jamaica Moves. So watch out for the links, and I will see everybody at 9 o'clock bright and early tomorrow.
So thank you for joining us. Master Control is over to you.
All right, thank you, sir.